Like after ApplyPass, I did not apply at all on my own because the 2-3 phone calls that I had to take, that was a lot from my day-to-day work, and that was kind of, it was difficult. It was a little difficult to manage that. But at the same time, I was progressing, and that felt really good because I was progressing with each and every phone call that I was getting.
Yeah, totally. And you ended up getting your job through that then.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I finally got the position at Alidade, and it was great.
Hey, this is Kevin Landucci with ApplyPass. So, all right, Yusuf, nice to meet you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, whatever you think is important to share.
Hi, Kevin. Nice to meet you too. Yeah, I'm a staff software engineer. I have been working in this industry from a long time, like since 2007. I've always been in like a computer science field right from my school days, and I have enjoyed working in the technical realm, and that's what got me up to here. And I enjoy solving problems with different tools and technology out there.
Nice, nice. And your last job search had kind of a unique reason for you to start it, or unique structure. What was the kind of reasoning that you started your last job search? You're trying to take advantage of something that you'd saved up at your company. I've never heard this before.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I interestingly had like paternity, and during that time, I felt like, with some time at my hand, like while being at home, it would be, uh, I would also be able to give some time towards preparation for technical interviews, and that's what got me to think that, hey, with this 4 months that I have, I could spend like 2 months searching for another job and training for the technical interviews. I didn't have the time to study for interviews since the last 4 years when I was at Wayfair, and that made it especially challenging. And that's why I wanted to get ahead of that speed bump that I had hit.
Does it feel like software engineers should just always be interviewing to stay up to date?
Of course. Like that seems to be like the most important skill set, because the day-to-day work that a software engineer has is quite different, and it's less challenging in some ways than an interview is, and that's why like keeping up with the interviews and what is getting asked in those interviews is extremely helpful towards a job search.
Yeah. Do you think that the market was more challenging? Because you got this job, so you were at Wayfair, and now you're at Adelaide, and you got that job at Adelaide like 9 months ago, and everybody for the last like year and a half or so, ever since Google and Facebook did those layoffs, they've been complaining about how tough the market was. How tough was the market for you in that job search?
I think for me, the time was the biggest challenge. Like, applying for jobs and all of that takes a huge amount of time out of your day-to-day activities, especially if you are working like 40-hour job already. And that's like, when do you have the time to apply for other jobs and give interviews? And that was the most challenging piece, I think, and especially now that I have kids and stuff, that there is really no free time out of a day.
Right. But you signed up for ApplyPass, and this may have helped with the amount of time that you were spending on applications. Do you remember maybe how many interviews you were getting a week before you tried ApplyPass, and then how many interviews you were getting a week after you tried it?
Yeah, I actually got, once in a while I would get like interviews like within 3-4 months, like before I did ApplyPass, and that too, like just like not something that I would have searched for. It's more like, hey, somebody sent me a message on LinkedIn. I'm like okay, let's ask them about it and continue forward that conversation. And that's how I would have applied before. Once I did ApplyPass, I would get like 2 or 3 leads every week, and that's like, even with an intro phone call, like 2 intro phone calls every week, that would push me really much harder towards getting that next job, because that half an hour that you spend even on an intro call is a practice for the next one.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you find yourself applying on your own too? Or did you find
Not
yourself?
at all. Like after ApplyPass, I did not apply at all on my own because the 2-3 phone calls that I had to take, that was a lot from my day-to-day work, and that was kind of, it was difficult. It was a little difficult to manage that. But at the same time, I was progressing, and that felt really good because I was progressing with each and every phone call that I was getting.
Yeah, totally. And you ended up getting your job through that then.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I finally got the position at Alidade, and it was great. I uh, actually remember that I had kind of done full interviews, like all the way. What I talked about was introductory phone calls, but other than that, I did at least 2 other companies that I went through with full interviews. One I did not get an offer, another I did not like the offer, and this
Mhm.
was the third one that I went through it, and I liked what they were doing. I liked the offer, and I liked the position that I was getting.
Nice. That's actually faster than most people. If you got it on your third on-site, that's pretty good. Most people fail 4 or 5 before they get their first offer. So not surprising. Sounds like you did a good job search. And yeah, what about advice for people out there? Last question. Let's say I've been rolling off like a really long gig at a company. Let's say I've been working at like Microsoft for like 8 years and I feel really rusty. Like what's like one piece of advice that you might want that person to know?
Uh, yeah, my advice would be like, get to start giving interviews, start applying and start giving interviews. And I think ApplyPass really helped there. So that's one way you could do that. Like if you don't have the time to apply yourself and, move ahead, it was really helpful there. Uh, and yeah, it's just about how many interviews you can give, and, finding that right skill set that you have. Like for instance, even with ApplyPass, I had given interviews for UI roles as well, or like full stack roles, and I quickly realized that that was not my thing. That I was too rusty for that, but I was
Mm-hmm.
good enough for backend. And that kind of knowledge you can only gain after you give a certain number of interviews and figure out where you stand and how you can progress from there.
Yeah, practice is pretty good just for shaking off the social anxieties that a software engineer might not get into very often on their daily
Yeah.
job. If only practice interviews help you just get used to talking to people about your work and your past projects again and not being nervous, even if it's for a role that's totally not a fit. So, yeah, I hear you. Okay, well, that's great. Thanks for talking to me, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Kim.
All right, and